There are a lot of ways to handle rejection from a woman. In this movie, this is not how you do it. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And today, the movie I'm referring to, the one I'm going to review, is The Prowler. This slasher film came out in 1981. It's an hour and 29 minutes. It had $1 million budget, and upon release, it only made $1 million. And there's a reason for that. We'll get into that in a little later. This movie was directed by Joseph Zito. This movie is the film that got Joseph Zito, Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. And he does a really nice job with this film. We'll get into a little bit there. The cast of this film are mostly unknowns. Vicki Dawson plays our main final girl, Pam. Christopher Goutman plays Mark. He's a deputy in this town, this small town. And Lawrence Tierney's in this film. Now, as Major Chatham, he does not say anything, and he's mostly negated to a wheelchair. But he is in this film. Not very much, but he's in it. And the other star of this film, it's the 80s, folks, so that other person would be Tom Savini. Tom Savini did a lot of slasher films in the 80s, and this is the film Tom Savini did right after Maniac. And we'll get into some of the kills that are spectacular in this film. And in the beginning of the film, it's 1945, June 28th of 1945. And this small college in this little town is having a graduation dance. And we're also showing this girl is writing this letter to her boyfriend who is in the military. And it's during World War II. Saying that she's sorry, but she's in love with somebody else and she's leaving him. Well, this girl's at this dance and she leaves with this other guy, and they're on this little gazebo on this lake, and revenge is had. Oh yes, revenge is had. They die in the most spectacularly gory way with a pitchfork, so just use your imagination. And then we're in 1980, it's June again in 1980, and they're about to have a graduation dance again, their first one in 30 years, or a little over 30 years. And it's a big deal in town, and the kids are excited. Some of the older folks that were around for the double murder, the killer was never caught, and they're not thrilled about it because nobody ever caught the killer, and some people are convinced the killer is still around. He's just been quiet all this time. And we're introduced to the police chief, and he's leaving town to go on a fishing trip, and he's leaving Mark in charge. He's his deputy. Again, small town. He's the only other cop they got. And Mark's at the dance, and he sees Pam and that, and they chat a little bit. We're introduced to some different girls that go to his school and guys. And it doesn't take long for this gentleman in World War II military fatigue and a bayonet and a pitchfork to start killing people in the most gruesome ways imaginable. And first we get this couple in the shower scene, and the guy's starting to take his shoe off, and the guy comes up behind and grabs him and sticks the bayonet through the top of his head and comes out the bottom, and there's blood everywhere. And the girl in the shower, let's just say she gets the pitchfork right through her, and they show the whole thing. Tom Savini really knocks this out of the park. The makeup effects, I mean, Tom Savini's a master at these kind of effects, and his illusions here are fantastic. I know he likes to call them illusions, and he does a spectacular job. And there's one really, really rough, or I should say very violent scene in a pool where this one chick leaves this dance. Now, by this point, Pam and Mark know there's something going on because Pam has been chased by this masked man. And they go to the dance, and they tell the people that are running it, and they tell all the kids to stay inside. Well, this one girl leaves before they make that announcement, and she goes swimming in this pool. And she's swimming around, and she goes to get out of the pool, and this guy, the killer, shows up and kicks her in the face, and she falls backwards off the ladder in the water. And when she finally gets herself composed, she goes to go out of the water, and he comes up behind her and slits her throat. But they showed a knife sawing at her throat. It's very gory, and it's very violent, and it's just the stuff Tom Savini excelled at back then. I don't know how this film didn't get an X rating. It is rated R. I know there's some footage on the DVD. I have the special edition DVD released by Blue Underground back in the early 2000s. And there is some footage of Tom Savini doing the makeup effects from behind the scenes. And it's just, he's a master. He's one of the masters from back then. And he's a legend in the makeup effects business. And as the movie goes forward, there's hints. They don't know who the killer is. It's basically a whodunit. And at the end of the film, I'm going to skip over some things. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. I don't want to give too much away if you've never seen it. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to give the killer away either. At the end of the film, there's a great shot. Pam is struggling with the killer. And by this point, the killer's unmasks himself. And at this point, he's already been shot with a shotgun. And he killed this other guy by shooting him with a shotgun. And Pam and the killer are struggling with this shotgun. And Pam finally gets it under his head. And she pulls the trigger and his head explodes and all bits and pieces of brain matter and blood everywhere. And it's awesome. It's awesome. If you love these kind of films, it's just spectacular. It's a spectacular set piece. And Tom Savini actually pulled that off by creating a fake head and actually filling it with fake blood and stuff and shooting with a real double-barrel shotgun. As a matter of fact, on the footage on the DVD, they actually show him pulling that off from behind the scenes. And this movie is really well done. It has this soft look to it, like almost like a dreamlike feel to it, especially in the beginning of the film. Joseph Zito really does a nice job directing it, and I can see why Paramount picked him to helm Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. I wish he would have did more horror films. I know after Friday, the final chapter, he wanted to do Invasion USA and Missing in Action 1. He did Red Scorpion then. But he had a real knack for horror. It's really nicely directed. The lighting is perfect. The score is cool. I like the surprise, whodunit aspect of it. At the end, does it make a whole lot of sense? It's up to debate. It's for you to decide. I enjoy it. Now, Lawrence Tierney's in here. He really doesn't play much of a role, honestly. Besides the fact that his daughter has something to do. She's the one that was, she was kind of the catalyst for all this. But he really doesn't have nothing to do but sit in a wheelchair, and he grabs the one girl once when she's trying to run away. Other than that, he really has not much to do in this film. But overall, it's really well done. Again, this is the movie Tom Savini did right off of Maniac, and then Tom Savini regrouped with Joseph Zito on Friday the 13th Part 4. I would give this slasher film an 8 out of 10. It's really well done. Once the kills start, there's pretty much a kill every 7 to 10 minutes maybe until the end of the film, and they're all gory, and you see them all gloriously uncut pretty much, it seems like anyway. I don't know if anything was cut, I don't know. But yeah, I highly recommend The Prowler if you've never seen it. It's definitely a cool little slasher film, very well done from '81. Have you ever seen The Prowler? What are your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this film. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, all that great stuff. And I will be back soon with another video. Take care of yourselves, and see you later. Bye.